Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another try a chapter video. I'm really enjoying doing these because they're helping me get through some of my folders and some of the books that have been sitting on my Kindle for a very long time. And for this video I actually put a poll up on my YouTube community page, and it was what kind of try a chapter would you like, and the Stuff Your Kindle books won out because of course they did. I was not actually expecting anything different, but this is a really good opportunity for me to go through those books and to start making some headway into them, because I am absolutely terrible at downloading way too many books. And that is because, to my mind, what exists on my Kindle, how many books are on there, has very little meaning because I don't physically see them. I am someone who needs to see something to actually understand just how much is on there. In saying that, I just don't care either because it's not taking up space. Right? So there are options, and every now and then I periodically go through and I delete things. I talked about it in my trying to find a 5-star hockey romance video, where I was still deleting things even as I was, reading others. So I have a system, it works in my head. I don't expect other people to understand it or to, agree that you can have however many books on your Kindle, because some people like to keep a very minimal collection on there. Other people like having large collections. It is what it is, and I think to each their own. You choose the method that works for you, and having lots of options means that I can come up with some weird and wacky content ideas every now and then, maybe. But that said, I did get a comment about how I actually navigate something like a Stuff Your Kindle Day, because if you are unfamiliar, Stuff Your Kindle Day is a massive event, and there are literally hundreds and thousands of books available for free. Ultimately, it is an opportunity for authors to showcase their works, offer it up to an audience that may not have stumbled across it otherwise. And so for them, they get free publicity out of it. They get a boost in downloads in the Kindle store or whichever platform they're using. And it's sort of a win-win. You get free books and authors get some publicity. The place where I've got most of these books are from the Romance Bookworms, Stuff Your Kindle Day. There are various versions of this, lots of different authors band together and release books for free for a small period of time. They may or may not have similar names, but it's essentially the same idea. And the question was around how do you find books in here, because they're massive. Like, these days are huge. There are so many books and you have to figure out how to find things that you're interested in, right? So I put together some of the tips that I use. They may or may not work for you, but this is how I go through and I navigate that. I'll be honest, I have been known to just sit and scroll while I'm watching TV and just literally look line by line. It takes forever, and I have to do that when I'm in the right headspace to do that, but most of the time I employ some of these other tips. So my first tip is usually the books tend to be listed slightly before they go on sale, so you can do a bit of a preview. That's always helpful because then you can make a list of things that you want to go back and check. My biggest tip, hands down, best thing to do, is to make a list of things that you are interested in reading. Keywords, tropes, subgenres, etc. Make a list of them. For me, I always have keywords, tropes, authors that I like and that I know are participating in the sale. I literally make a list of them, either on paper or on a document or whatever. I make a list, and I have that handy when the sale starts. And the reason I have those lists handy is because then I just do a find and search on the website. So literally, I'm on a Mac, so I do Command F. Find, type in the keyword I want, and literally scroll through the page that way, because it just jumps to wherever that keyword is, and it makes it so much easier to find what it is that you are interested in reading. Then I have a choice of looking at the actual title that comes up and seeing if anything else about that title grabs my attention, and then I decide whether or not I'm going to download it. Another really good idea is if you have bookish friends or people who read a lot of books and who join in sales like this, get together, create a document or something that you can share, because then if you find something that you think other people might like, you can put it in a list, they can put in their recommendations, and then you can find things really easily that way. Again, do a little page search and see what you can find. But having a group of people do this makes it a lot easier, because sometimes you can divvy up the categories that you search in, or people have specific things that they like, and so they might find things that you may not have stumbled across otherwise. And then the other tip that I would suggest is that after you have downloaded whatever it is that you download, whether it's one book or if it's 50 books or somewhere in between, put them in a folder on your Kindle so that you know that that's where you got them from. Because, and this is where this video is coming into play today, it means that you can come back to it and you can go, am I still interested in reading that? Or do I need to keep it? Because to be honest, you don't have to keep things on your Kindle. I know I said earlier that I don't really care so much, but the fact of the matter is, once you have downloaded that book, you have helped that author out by downloading it. Yes, of course, if you read it and review it, you are helping even more. But the fact that you have chosen to download that book has given it analytics in the store that it's in, so you have done your bit. You do not have to keep that book if 2, 3, 4, 5 months, a year down the track, you go back and go, What was I thinking? You can delete it, that's fine. But if you keep everything together, it means that you know, okay, this is what I've downloaded. I haven't read anything from that list. And so maybe I need to reconsider my practices moving forward on days like these, which is probably the lead in to how I'm going to choose these books. So I'm actually going to select 10 books from my Stuff Your Kindle folder. Maybe what I should do is insert a clip of me scrolling through it if my iPad is going to behave. Pause please. All right, so there are 69 books in my Stuff Your Kindle Day unread folder, which I find deeply ironic, but anyway. All right, so this is my folder. I'm gonna scroll through it, and there are 69 titles. Now, there are some books in here that are a few titles into a series that I already actually own. And so when I select my 10 books, I'm going to take that into account. There's also a couple of projects, so if some of those books come up, I might choose another number. Just because I have some projects in mind that I want the books for. But ultimately, we're going to go with what's on this Kindle. Okay, so we're going to be picking books. I know this is not going to work because my brightness is up. Let's see if I can turn it down. May or may not work. Anyway, our search range is 1 to 69. First number is 31. Okay, Score Her Heat by Danica Flynn. Why do I think that I have read that before? Oh no, I've read the author before. Not Score Her Heat, Score Her Heart. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go. Second number is 10, and that is The Elf or Warlock's Claim. Okay, The Elf or Warlock's Claim is by Aurelia, Skye. I think I've said that right. Okay, book number 3 will be 41, and that is, oh, that's a hockey one, One Night Puck. So yes, there is some overlap with the hockey romances in this folder because a lot of them came from the Stuff Your Kindle Day. Book 4 is 69, so that's the last book, which is Illusionary, Minefield Enforcers Book 1 by LeAnn Mason. Book 5 is 40, is Mine for the Night by Carrington-Russell, Australian author. Next book is 1. That's very easy to find, and that is The Flower Arrangement by Carmine. The next one is 3, and that is Wilde Magic by Jen Stark. Okay, 3 more. 43, Meant for You by Samantha Leigh. That is also an Australian author. I have read the first book in this series, I think, unless this is the third one. I can't remember. Okay. 47, we are spending a lot of time in the 40s. Formula for Seduction, Amelia, Simone. Another sports romance. This time it looks like football. Okay, lucky last. 58, Celestial Velocity by Mary Ashe. These are the 10 books that I am going to be reading. I'm going to read at least the first chapter and then make a decision on whether it's something that I would like to continue in the future or whether it's something that I'm just going to take off my device. And then I will look at the ones that I'm willing to continue, and I'm going to choose one of them and read it for this video as part of the vlog. And the thing with these kind of videos is you don't have to read a book all the way through to the end, but if there is one that I'm intrigued by, I like including it. So hopefully we get something like that, and I will update you after I have read the first chapter of Score Her Heart by Danica Flynn. Okay, so Score Her Heart by Danica Flynn is a hockey romance, and it opens with Fiona, who is about to get married, and her fiance has not turned up. When he finally replies to her messages, he basically says, I don't want to get married, but I want things to go back to the way they were before. And she's like, hell no. And so she goes down to the bar. Her best friend, I think from high school, is a guy called Riley who plays hockey professionally, and he'd taken some time to come to the wedding, so he's there. The kind of backstory between these two is that they slept with each other in high school and have been best friends ever since and have a really sort of easygoing relationship. And she's freaking out about cancelling everything for the wedding, and the very last part of this chapter is him basically saying, well, it's Vegas, why don't we get married? So I feel like this could go two ways. It could either go really badly, or it could just be a really ridiculous fun story. So this one is not quite on the chopping block yet. I think I would need a few more chapters to decide whether or not this is going too much in the wrong direction, but it's kind of a little bit of bonkers ridiculousness right off the bat. So now we are going to try the Warlock's Claim, and I will get back to you. Well, I'm back straight away because this won't open on my Kindle, so something is wrong with the file, and I'm just going to clear it off the Kindle because we ain't got time for that. I may add another book to the end of this video. We'll see how I go with everything else. So that means we are moving on to One Night Puck by Jessa York. So we're going straight into another hockey romance. How very on brand. Okay, so this one is sitting in the entertaining category as well. So this one is about Lexi and Trey. It is a duet though, which kind of makes me a little bit wary because we do not like how duets end in the first book, because that's the purpose of a duet, right? The first chapter is from Trey's perspective. He is a hockey player and he wakes up in bed next to Lexi, who is the daughter of his hockey idol and has known for a long time. She's also the best friend of his best friend. But they wake up and they're married, and they have tattooed wedding bands with each other's names tattooed on their fingers. So I don't know. I probably wouldn't read this one today because I'm not in the mindset to start a duet, but I'm not going to get rid of the book, I don't think. I think we're going to keep it. All right, so next we are going to read Illusionary. So Illusionary seems to be sort of an urban fantasy paranormal type story. I'm assuming there's going to be a romance in here. And we have, I think it's Natalie, but it's written Nathalie, so I'm assuming it's Natalie, and someone's just gone for creative spelling license. Natalie is a enhanced human. She is the daughter of two people who belong to two different sort of genetically enhanced human groups. So one is labeled primal, so they're more physical and have more physical enhanced strengths, and sages who are more mental, telepathy, telekinesis, etc. kind of talents. And so she's the daughter of one of each. And so she has some different abilities. She has a bit of both. So the first bit that I read is sort of a prologue. It's 18 years earlier. It's her dad talking about sort of the state of the world. So you get quite a bit of information about and world setup in that chapter. And then the first chapter with Natalie is her visiting the local stables, and we learn a little bit about her gift, and she starts having a conversation with the guy who works there, and his name is Holden, and he doesn't speak or can't speak, and she hears him in her head, obviously, because she's a telepath, and he's never really had conversations with people before, and so it's a bit of a new experience for them. I will probably not continue this one. I have a feeling it's going to get a little bit dramatic, just in terms of the main character is 18, and while the world setup is really interesting and it could potentially fit into another vlog that I have planned, I just don't think that I'm going to enjoy it, just from how heavy the world and info dumping has been in the first couple of chapters. And like, sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't, and for me in this case it's not really working. So that means I'm moving on to Mine for the Night by Carrington-Russell. Okay, so I've just read the chapter for Mine for the Night, and this one starts in the perspective of the male protagonist Damon, and he is kind of in a rut. He's having a conversation with a friend. It's promoted as a billionaire fake dating hidden identity story. I'm assuming, reading between the lines, that Damon was at one point a high-end escort, and so the sort of last part of the chapter is him being contacted by someone, and he hasn't, you know, been involved in that for a little while, and she needs an escort to a masquerade ball, which is apparently the only kind of ball, like big events, that he does. The writing is good, the story's fine. I just don't think I'm in the mood for billionaire romance, so we'll probably pass on this one, and that's okay. Next on the list is The Flower Arrangement by Casey Carmine. The Flower Arrangement is an romance. It's set in London, and we have Brendan and Hugh. The first chapter is from Brendan's perspective. It's quite a long chapter actually, and this is only like 125 pages, I think. So Brendan is a big 6'3" florist. He's a florist, and he has a huge crush on his hairstylist Hugh, and basically the first chapter is him talking about how, you know, how he met Hugh, how they've come into each other's orbit, how he really likes Hugh, and also how he has made a decision with his business that the first Wednesday of every month is a day that he takes off and he goes to see Hugh and get his hair styled, and every time he goes there he takes a bouquet of flowers, and he's been doing it for 12 months, and apparently today's the day that he's going to tell Hugh that he really likes him. Now, I did have a quick look at the summary and some of the author's notes, and the words idiots in love came up, so this is staying on the TBR because we know I love that trope. That is a potential candidate. It's also fairly light and easy. Like the writing probably needs a little bit of editing and just a bit of finesse, but it doesn't overly detract from the story itself, so I'm enjoying that one. All right, Wilde Magic by Jen Stark is next. Okay, so chapter 1 of Wilde Magic, it follows Sarah, who is a magical artifact hunter, and she uses tarot to help decide how her quest for, you know, these magical treasures goes. And she is, I think, at a club in Rio de Janeiro. It's a party. There is some kind of cultish type group partying it up, and she's there to track down some kind of artifact. And the chapter is literally just setting the scene and setting up some of the characters and her role, and it ends off basically on it being showtime for her to go and collect this artifact out from under the noses of everyone. This was a surprisingly easy to read chapter, so I'll keep it on the list for the time being. Now we're up to Meant for You by Samantha Leigh. All right, so Meant for You is a small town romance. It is said to be enemies to lovers, and they are enemies from high school. And as always, I'm like, is it enemies or is it hate to love? Like, seriously, like, can we get some clarity on which one it is? Because enemies to lovers implies that they literally have something to gain by opposing each other. Whereas I think this is probably gonna be hate to love. And it is about Logan, who has come back home to the small town after years of being away. He's been over in London bartending and working and whatever, and he's come home for a friend's wedding. And the female protagonist of the story is going to be Jess, and she is the ex-girlfriend of his best friend. And so they've literally just seen each other for the first time at the end of the first chapter. I don't know how I feel about this one, to be honest. I'm probably going to pass on it just because the first chapter is so heavy on character introductions. I lost track of how many characters I was introduced to in the first chapter. And it's a lot. That's a lot for my brain to take in. I'm going to need a character map to read this, and I should not need a character map to follow a contemporary romance story. So this is probably a pass, but that does take us to the next book, which is Formula for Seduction. Okay, so Formula for Seduction is a story of a football coach and a data analyst, I believe. The first chapter is from Carly's perspective. She, I think, is a professor of data analytics or something like that. And the first chapter is literally her just catching up with friends of hers. It's a big commentary on the fact that she doesn't like going out, and she's quite happy with her life, and they're determined to push her out of her comfort zone, blah blah blah. And then they find out she's never been to a football game, and they're like, no, we must take you to a football game. That's where the chapter ends. I'm probably not going to read this, to be perfectly honest. I was the first couple of pages and I'm like, I don't think so. And again, same problem with Meant for You. There's a lot of characters that I'm introduced to. I cannot keep up. Introduce characters slowly. Start off with a small group of friends and then introduce them, because I can't tell you anyone's names because my eyes glazed over. That could be a me problem, but there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people in this. Okay, so that was a very long chapter. We have multiple perspectives in the same chapter, which possibly is something that could be tweaked. Just, I think it would make it flow a little bit easier. We have B, who is on the run. Apparently she has been accused of murder and arson. She is an engineer, and so she's been on the run. She's been trying to stay under the radar of people who are trying to get her, but at the start of the book she's been kidnapped by pirates, space pirates. And probably the line that I appreciated most in this chapter was, pirates are gonna pirate. Of course they are. Anyway, the pirate captain who has kidnapped her keeps telling her, we will explain everything when we get on the ship. Yes, we're kidnapping you, but it's not what you think, kind of thing. And then as they're trying to escape the ship that she is on, another pirate ship has attached themselves and are trying to come through, so they're just trying to get out of there. And that's basically the first chapter. Like, there's a lot there's a lot going on. But I am vaguely intrigued, not enough to continue today, but maybe I'll put it in like a sci-fi romance vlog. I haven't really read a lot of sci-fi romance recently, so maybe I can find a few things and put them all together. That could work. I'm at least intrigued to give it a few more chapters at another point in time. And because I couldn't get one of these things to work, let's just generate another number. Oh, no, we read one. 32. Was that one of our numbers? Don't think it was. 32. No. So let's find 32. Zaan by Kat Mizera, which is another hockey romance. Can you tell what I download on Stuffy Kindle Day adventures? Okay, I didn't even get through the prologue of this one. It is very highly dramatic. So it is, I'm assuming, going to be the second chance relationship between Zaan, who is a Norwegian-born professional hockey player in the US, and his girlfriend Lexi. And she is a cancer survivor, and in the very first chapter we're in her point of view, and she is a singer, and she's currently on tour with a girl group touring around Europe. And she's missing him and she's missing home, and she gets some advice from one of the other girls in the group, who then unalives herself in the next chapter. And I'm assuming that Lexi is then going to step into this role, and then there's going to be the split between Lexi and Zaan in the prologue because of their careers and the fact that they're never going to be in the same place at the same time. Not quite sure I'm here for that drama. It's a little bit over the top for me. This is where knowing your reading taste comes in really handy. Okay, so that is 10 books read plus the 11th one that I couldn't open, so that's off the TBR anyway. And I think the one that I'm probably going to read for this vlog is The Flower Arrangement, just because it's going to be short. It's potentially going to be a bit of fun, I'm hoping. I like the idea of a florist and a hairstylist, and I'll let you know what my thoughts are on it at the end. So I finished The Flower Arrangement, and this one is an interesting one because I enjoyed it. It's very sweet and just definitely idiots falling in love because these two have not adequately communicated to each other. But it's one of those books that I probably wouldn't necessarily recommend to people because as much as I enjoyed it, I'm not going to say it's the best well-written thing out there. And the second part of the book is a lot of sex on page. Like, these chapters are quite long. As I said, I think it's 125 pages, and there is like 2 or 3 chapters where it's them because they've just figured out and, you know, realize that they both like each other, and then they are staying in a hotel and have access to hot tubs and whatever. So there's a lot going on in that area, but it's sweet. Their relationship is sweet because they just didn't adequately communicate with each other beforehand. Every now and then those stories are just good palate cleansers. So it would be that kind of book. But yeah, it's not going to be the most well-written thing out there, but it was entertaining for what it was worth. And so that wraps up this try a chapter tag, and hopefully the Stuff Your Kindle day tips at the start help. Honestly, just create a list, and then if anything else grabs your attention, like you can deviate from the list. But my biggest thing is have a list, because then when it comes to reading the books, you're fairly close on things that you're interested in. So now I'm going to go through my Stuff Your Kindle folder and delete the books that I'm not going to be reading at all. And yeah, thanks for watching. In the comments, let me know what other themes that you would like. I still have my special editions. I have other folders on my Kindle. I think I have unread 2022 and unread 2023 and unread 2024 folders. I also just have my general unread folder, which, what number is that? Because that could be the next one. Let's see what it's sitting at. Oh, 191, which is a marked improvement over what it was previously. But yes, I have a stack of different folders. I can try a chapter on physical books, ebooks. Let me know the theme ideas that you have down below, because honestly, these are some of my most fun vlogs to film, because I really enjoy this process of elimination. So stay tuned. You'll probably hear about some of the other books that I started that I'm planning on keeping on my Kindle anyway in the future. So if you want to hear about those sooner rather than later, let me know as well. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Feel free to leave any kind of computer or technology related emoji that you feel like for this vlog, and I will see you in my next video. Bye everyone.